All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? I hope you had a great trading day today. Let me just get this tweeted out here. Dun, dun, dun. All right, internet, awesome. Yeah, so I hope everybody had an awesome trading day today. Get started a little bit early here, so just real excited about talking about tonight's topic and taking a look at the market, seeing how things are. Just a quick look at the SPX here. Let's go to the bar chart, so it's not as messy. Looks like messy. Looks like a stain or something like that. But anyway, so far, like we've been talking about, we had the 2018. We had this huge channel that we managed to make. After the 2017, run up, right? We had a quick correction there, another correction back down, and then a long move up all through 2018 until we hit the double top, right? Top of the channel, and then another huge correction down, right? ABC wave 2, so that was your wave 1, ABC wave 2, and what we thought was a wave 3 didn't quite turn into a wave 4 because this longer wave here took out the beginning of wave 1, so that's a rule breaker, right? So now we got to think, okay, what's really going on here, right? So one of it is that this could be the start of a super impulsive wave 3 down. Right now, we're starting to show some strength. We had a pretty good day today. Futures are green right now, but also the VIX futures are green too. So it makes it a little bit interesting, right? It's always interesting when things are pointing up, but so is the VIX, right? So maybe there's some announcement about something's gonna happen tomorrow or something like that. I don't know, but anyway. We had a green day today. Huge move today on the SPX. So it's looking very bullish. If we scroll in here, we can see how the pivot kind of looks. So it pivoted underneath the pitchfork bottom, but at the channel bottom too. So that is still a bullish move right here. So it's tough to get really an accurate count on it right now until we can get some more direction, right? So it could be an extended fifth wave up. It might come all the way up here to this 28 level and take out these pivots and give us a pivot at this pitchfork level, right? So at this point we don't know, but I'm still thinking that this is a potential zigzag, right? Because this is definitely an impulsive move up. So it'll be a 5, and then so we'll look for a 1, 2, 3 down to get wave B. Ideally, it comes down here to the pitchfork low, and then gives us a pivot, and then can give us a tradable, very tradable wave C up, right? So all we have to be able to do is count a 1, 2, 3 down, and once that's done, and we get a nice little pivot, we can trade that to the upside, as a potential long move for wave C, right? Because with Elliott wave, we like to trade waves 5, wave 3, and wave C, because they get your best moves on those, and they're a lot of times they're pretty easy too, because if you even if you get the wave count wrong, a lot of times it's a backup wave to help you in your direction anyway. So that's kind of an overview of the market. So tonight is I did want to point out one thing. I wanted to point out Netflix. Okay, so Netflix, we talked about that it was on the game plan yesterday for it had an inside 60 anchor. So just a real quick review on what the 60 anchors are. The 60 anchors are basically that final 60-minute bar of the day. Now, technically, it's 30 minutes, right? But it's on your 60-minute chart, so it looks like a 60-minute bar. So that was part of the game plan yesterday. So yesterday, you'll see this is an incredible move today. We had this inside 60. I tweeted that out as part of the game plan, right? So today, if you're watching that at Trading the Open, these are great tools, right? The orbs and the anchors. If you get an inside 60 anchor, they're great. It's actually a double inside 60 anchor, so even more powerful, right? So what happens is you trade it like you normally trade your 60-minute time frame, but you get more move, you get more volume, you get more momentum at the open, right? So you can it can help. You can really gauge it, right? So here's what happened, right? So we opened here, right, pretty much near the prior day's highs, like the 2 day ago high, right? So it was at a key level, right? And then it came back in really quickly, and it tagged here. The high here was 345.10, and the high here was 346.50. The high here was 346.50. So they were even number right there, and then 346.66, right? So here, this all came into that double inside day range. It didn't quite tag the anchor itself, but it got really, really close. It missed it by 2 pennies, right? So it came down. So if you caught this bit of a reversal right here, right? So it came down, almost tagged, and then started to really push back up. If you could have got in there with calls, right, that would have been a huge move up. And I think I tweeted out it was already up 3 points when I was like, oh, like right there. And then it gave 2 pause bars. It gave a nice inside 60 bar over the VWAP, right? And then that kind of broke to the upside and just gave you, honestly, even if you were here, the low here was 353.54, right? Remember the high here was 346. I mean, just huge move. And then actually this didn't go inside, but it tagged it, and just a huge move up for the rest of the day. And look at that, it tagged 360 again. So I was actually glad I got on my straddle, so I wouldn't have to be like dealing with all this huge chop, right? Chop back to the upside. But this would have been a huge move right there, just using the 60 anchor, right? And we've got one for tomorrow. We've got 2 for tomorrow actually. Apple. I've got my eye on Apple for tomorrow. Looks pretty interesting. Have this inside 60 here, and it's a bit of an inside. It's a red hammer, right? So it's a semi-bullish harami, right? So if we get some momentum tomorrow, Apple might be strong. It might open up and just sort of do what Netflix did, kind of tag this area, and if it breaks to the upside, could be pretty strong, right? So we'll see. So just keep an eye on Apple tomorrow. Looks pretty good, and Google gave us one too. Okay, so yeah, so for tonight. Technical, what I wanted to talk about is you guys may have heard of CMF, Charlie Michael Foxtrot, right? CMF is called CHAIKIN money flow. Okay, so a little bit about that. It's a tool that can be used, and it sounds like you can just be like, oh, okay, well, money's pouring into the stock right here. It's coming out of the stock, right? It's not quite that accurate. Right. So, but it's a way of measuring momentum. Okay. So if you hear of CMF or see it abbreviated, on Twitter or somewhere else, right? It stands for CHAIKIN money flow, and it's an indicator that's in Thinkorswim, and actually I don't think it used to be in here. I think they added it recently. So, but anyway, basically it's an indicator of momentum. Okay. And so the idea is that you what it does is it takes 2 things. Okay, so depending on the indicator itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at see how Thinkorswim has it. It's okay. So it takes the last 21. Okay, so 21 is pretty standard for CHAIKIN money flow. Okay, so what 21 means is that that's the amount of inputs that go into it based on your time frame. So if I start like right here, right, it's going to take the last 21 bars, right, and then essentially start drawing the average off of that. Okay, so the average is basically based on, it takes your money flow, which takes your close high and your close low, right, and then the high minus the close, and it divides that by the high minus low and multiplies it all by the volume. Okay, so that's your daily money flow, right? And then it takes your CHAIKIN money flow, which takes the 21-day average of the money flow that you're in, so the last 21 daily money flow, right? And then it divides that by the 21 daily average of volume. Okay, so it's just this calculation that incorporates volume, and it was based on trying to determine basically that price and volume is really important into determining the direction of price. So in other words, if you have a huge amount of volume like you do at the open, right, we were just talking about with the anchors, right, then that pushes price, right? And it makes sense too, especially if they're all buyers, right? So it's just going to keep pushing and pushing it up, right? And as volume, you can kind of see these volume bars as they go down, right? So the stock kind of stalls out a little bit, right? So the idea is here is that you don't use it basically just by itself. You can use it with other indicators, and there's a couple different ways to trade it. So one of the ways is if you refer back to our moving average lesson, right, and a lot of folks like to use moving averages, it's one way to tell whether or not it makes sense to go long if the price pulls back to your moving average. Okay, so it's basically an indicator that just uses a zero line. Okay, and so so basically, if it's below the zero line, it basically means that money is essentially, flowing out of it based on volume. So you don't want to go long in these cases, right? So right now I have it on the 5-minute time frame, just as an example. It's crazy, it's crazy choppy and all that stuff. So if you try to use it to actually gauge direction, it doesn't work as well as say like the MACD or the RSI or something like that. But it tells you whether or not it makes sense to go long on a pullback. And so as long as it's below zero, it really doesn't make sense yet. But here you can see it broke zero, right, and got over right here. So this now at this moving average, right, and I think I just used a I just took a 50, and I think 50 is the more common one to use when you're doing CHAIKIN. And just like on the daily, we'll look at it on the daily too, but the 50 moving average is very, very important for trend. And so you'll see breakthroughs of the 50 moving averages. Institutions look at that, and a lot of traders trade off the 50 moving average. So here you can see it finally got positive here, and then as it pulled back to the moving average, right, that's where it kind of went long, right? And so from this point at the end of the day, right, we had the CHAIKIN money flow started coming up, and so this meant that essentially that we're looking at bullish type movement, right? So here we had a lot of chop, even though you had some nice spikes, right? This is sort of an indicator to be like, hey, I don't want to buy yet. But once it goes above zero, once it turns positive, you want to look for indications on whatever your trading system is on how to maybe use that to your advantage. Okay, so that's all CHAIKIN money flow is. It doesn't mean that big institutions are pouring money into it. It just means it's just based on a calculation, just based on volume, and based on essentially average prices. But it, they thought about it, they put some thought into it, and came up with the formulation of it to say that, hey, volume is really reflective in the price, and so that's how they incorporated price in it using that formula. Okay, so let's take a look real quick. There's two other things that we can do. One thing that we can do is take the MACD and actually put it right over the CHAIKIN money flow. So if you guys like trading with MACD, let me and we've done a lesson on that too. So there's some pretty cool tools that you can do with that as well, especially with trading on moving averages. So if we do MACD, let me just plug that in there, and then what you can do is in Thinkorswim, you just click the little arrow and you move it up. I know you can't see the pop-up, but you can embed them over each other, right? So what I'll do is I'll make the CHAIKIN money flow, I'll make it purple, just so you can see it a little bit better, and I'll make it like size 2. Okay, so the CHAIKIN money flow here is purple, right? And so as the CHAIKIN money flow, we'll look for where it goes over 0, right? Again, so here it was, and you can see too with the MACD, right? You can see that there was let me pull it up here. There was a nice signal line right here of it. Well, here's the signal line to go above it, and then it crossed over that center line too on the MACD, and the histogram started going green too. So right at this point right here, you can see at the pullback, or the compression here at the moving average, this was a good location to go long on this, right? And so from there you can see, I mean, it was basically even if you got in late, you were 170, all the way up to 179. So a good full point on Apple, which is a pretty good move on Apple these days. We take a look at Netflix real quick. This is just using the 5-minute chart, and we'll take a look at the daily real quick before we go into chart requests. But you can kind of see here too, initially yesterday, the CHAIKIN money flow was low, right? But then at the open today, right, if you think about it, right, so remember this was where we were tagging that 60 anchor. So as it came back in and pulled back to the moving average, right, the 50 moving average here, and the CHAIKIN money flow was positive, right? And we also saw the MACD, look at that, we had a nice positive move here, right? Nice breakthrough to go positive on the MACD lines too. Nice little indicator that, hey, it's okay to go long here, right? So I had a question on Twitter today about what kind of momentum indicators are good to look at, and so that's what kind of made me come up with the CHAIKIN money flow as a good option, right? So now as you can see here, if you went long on this pullback, so you knew there was a 60 anchor there, it pulled back to the 50 moving average, CHAIKIN money flow is positive, MACD histogram is going green, right? It's you might feel okay, a little more confidence going long here. And if you did, huge move today, all the way from if you took it like almost 15 points on Netflix today, it would have been a huge win. And if I had just done calls myself on it today, or just one call on the in the $50,000 account, I'd have been back over 500 today, probably pretty easily. So anyway, so hope you find that indicator useful. You could add it to your toolkit. Like I said, if you trade with MACD, or other indicators, you can just embed it over it and just kind of look at it and be like, hey, does it make sense for me to go long? Well, it's over 1. It meets my setup. It just gives you a little more confidence in that trade. So anyway, hope you guys find that helpful. Let me just switch over to the daily real quick. Obviously, it's going to change based on your time frame and your volume. So if I switch to the daily time frame, it's going to look a little bit different, right? So here you can see this is another good indicator, right? So back when the market was puking and crashing and all that stuff all the way down to 231, what was another indication of a reversal other than this, kind of Morningstar setup? Although this this bar didn't quite go, highly into the original bar of the Morningstar, but let's just say semi-Morningstar. So this is okay. So yeah, kind of consolidating a little bit. Oh, Chaikin money flow goes positive, but MACD isn't green yet. I'll wait a little bit, right? And so, at this point, you could consider, going long, but then finally here, Chaikin money flow starts going green. MACD histogram is green, and so then from there, it just kind of rocked all the way up. So even if you waited until that happened around 297, it went from 297 all the way to 360. So that was a good 60-point move from there. Just using the daily, just kind of combining a couple different tools. So you have checking money flow positive, you have histogram green. In this case, it was a little bit late on the move. The move probably here where the MACD went green was ideal, but it did chop around for a little bit. So if you were, still a little sketched out by the big move on the downside, waiting for that Chaikin money flow to go positive is a good indication. Be like, hey, some volume is coming into this thing, and there might be a little more move to it, right? And we were looking for a fifth wave anyway, so this wasn't such a bad place, right? Because here we are 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're trading in a wave 5 and you have that confirmation that it's pushing your wave 5 up, it's a good way to go. And also, I guess on another note too, you can look at it the opposite way too. So as we were, you could look when Chaikin money flow goes negative, right? When money's pouring out of a stock, right? So, kind of this location here, right? We're going from, green to red on the MACD, and we've got a green, we've got a negative Chaikin money flow. So this is not a bad spot to consider going short too, right? So just something to look at, and also right here too that you're at that 50 moving average as well, and so not a bad spot to have gone long. So it was like, hey, let me test the 50-day moving average. All right, let me get through it. All right, checking money flow is good. See, like I said here, once a stock breaks through the 50 moving average, institutional money starts coming in, right? And so this came up pretty heavy after that, right? So definitely a good indicator to have in the tool belt. So I hope you guys find that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to tag them into the chat window, and we'll get to it. We'll get the best we can. I'd like to finish up by 10 o'clock if possible, so we can all get some rest. But I do my best to try to answer everybody's chart requests. So, Rockdine, what's going on? Good to see you. Justin, so glad you made it, man. I hope these indicator tools are helping a little bit too, Justin. So, this Chaikin money flow is really good. If you started messing around with the Keltner and the Bollinger Band too, that is a pretty cool setup. I was looking at that today. I mean, just pretty incredible stuff. If you use it on the 15, you can kind of see here on Netflix, right? So that Keltner came in yesterday, right? The Bollinger Band and the Keltner both compressed, and once that Bollinger Band goes into the Keltner channel, right, you get once a break of that Bollinger Band goes up, you could have used that as extra confirmation as well, to the upside. So one thing I did say yesterday about the Keltner is it's supposed to be defaulted to exponential moving average, and you have to actually set that in the settings. So I'm going to do that right now and just make that exponential. So you keep the Bollinger Band at simple and you keep the Keltner at exponential. So it doesn't really affect it too much, but the median line changes a little bit. But yeah, so didn't quite go inside here on the bottom, so you didn't get full compression on it, but still a nice inside break, and a sharp turn to the upside. Still would have given some helpful confirmation on that. Okay, cool. Kyle, what's going on, man? Paul, what's going on? Futures are popping, yeah, no doubt. So nice green day today. Haven't seen that. Just a nice smooth up day today, and then now we get some follow through afterwards. So it almost feels like we're back in a bull market, right? So, but hold your horses just in case that ABC is in effect, right? So I don't know. It seems a little sketchy. We still have some China trade deal stuff going on. We got North Korea around the corner. We got Fed next week. So. I wouldn't say go all in long yet, but today was a great day to make some profits if you guys caught it. Harvey, what's going on, man? Okay, let's take a look at STMP. All right, very good. So you can see here, Harvey, just on the Keltner channel. So compressed yesterday, came into the range, broke to the upside, and gave a nice push up there. Let's see. Let's just take a look at the. Let's see the monthly chart for you. Yeah, it had a bullish month, and it engulfed the real body, engulfed the prior real body, and it took that up, just recently here. So nice, huge move up, just like the rest of the market on the weekly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks so far green, right? And let me make sure that is green. 56.23 close. No, this actually wasn't green. This was red. So sorry, yellow just shows it was an inside month. But you can see that inside week. So that inside week did break to the upside and gave a nice push there. I do like how the daily is broken through the cloud. And a nice consolidation, huge move today. The only thing I would be careful of is this. I'm going to zoom in here. So you're at the upper Bollinger Band, right? That doesn't mean it can't keep moving up. You are also in over bought status here on the RSI. So that's usually a pretty good indicator of a reversal. So just use caution up here. Obviously, it can go as high as it wants to, but being at the top of the Bollinger Band and being over bought can be dangerous. Of course, it was that over here too, and it kind of consolidated. So I'll just that's one indication that maybe it was getting extended. Hey, let's take a look at take two. So guys, take two is great. The other day we had the double inside day, right? And you guys know double inside day strategy. It's on Twitter. The idea is if you gap up, right, you actually look to trade it down, right? If you gap down, you look to trade it up, right? Because you get more move on it, because you get more price discovery, right? Because when bars go inside, right, it's saying that there's a lack of decision in the direction, right? Otherwise it would move, right? So here you have a double inside day. We gapped up here, and I can't remember what it was, guys. It was like a 30-cent risk or something for like a $3 move or a $5 move. And so huge move there. And then lo and behold, technical analysis, meeting with the news, it got like some sort of downgrade or something like that, and then just really puked even further. So so that's good. Now, yeah. So Harvey, this looks interesting, right? So RSI is not oversold, but you're below the lower Bollinger Band. You did have a lot of volume that came in today, so this almost looks like a reversal bar. Just keep an eye on it. See, I would imagine you get like one kind of like consolidation day, and then look if you get a little further downside move. Now keep in mind, guys, too, this was this open gap right here too, and we talked about which gap it might fill, the path of least resistance, depending on which way the double inside day broke. So if it broke to the upside, there was this, that was a gap up there, right, to be filled, and then the gap, because this was your Fibonacci confluence line right here. Sorry, guys. So this blue line, you can even see here I have it labeled. So we thought it might come up there, but if not, then we had this lower gap to fill down here. So Harvey, don't be surprised that if it tags this gap around 80 and then reverses. Even though it looks like a good reversal indicator, I'd still like to see the RSI oversold a little bit, and definitely filling that gap would get you there. PDX, what's going on, man? Oh, you got iSurge ripped today. That is awesome. Yeah, congratulations on that. Yeah, iSurge is an awesome stock to be on the right of. It is just a expensive stock, and when it moves, it just moves. And then if you're on the right side of it, great job on that. It is it's definitely a big boy stock. So so if you get caught on the wrong side of it, it can be painful. But look at this here too. Remember we were talking about congestion zones. So here's a congestion zone right here, and look what happened on the daily. If the hold on, if my thinkorswim will unfreeze. Anyway, so here you can see that if I activate the drawing and I just kind of bring it forward a little bit here, these congestion zones serves as good points of resistance, right? So here, the daily poked its head through it yesterday, and then you got a nice follow through here to the upper Bollinger Band today. So nice job on that one. Let's take a look at Lulu. Yeah, saw a good move. Any chance of continuation? Yeah, Lulu is pretty. I saw it all over the place today. I know Pure HK was talking about it. I think maybe Jeff Cooper was tweeting something about it today. I don't know if there's any news, but it had a huge move today. Let me just pull up the news real quick, just through thinkorswim and see. Under Armour keeps winning. Okay, so Under Armour had a good day today, so I guess this was going in sympathy with it. So yeah, nice move today. Now again, you're over the Bollinger Band with overbought status, but same thing happened here, and all it did was consolidate, right? So consolidate and break. That's another thing you can use CHAIKIN money flow with too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add this to here real quick, so we can all take a look at it. CHAIKIN money flow is good for breakouts too. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. All right, let me put that. I'll put that inside RSI for now. There. Okay, so CHAIKIN money flow. Let's make it purple. There. I'll make it 2. Okay. Give me 1 second as it pops up there. Okay, so here's your checking money flow, right? So, checking money flow has been above zero it's the red line for checking money flow, right? So it's been above zero. It's been positive for quite a while. So basically here, where you finally broken at the upper Bollinger Band, so it stayed very, very strong, right? So here, so it doesn't look like it's time to short, right, until this thing maybe gets below zero, until basically the volume indicates that money is flowing out of it. So yeah, so I would say this looks pretty good, man. This could be a wave 3 of some sort. This could be like a 1, 2, 3, and depending on where this turns over, you might have a wave 5 top, but it might still give another push for you too. This could just be 1, 2, and then it could be working on a wave 3 up as well. So I do like how the checking money flow is positive here, so it looks like there is a chance. I'm going to start adding this to my charts too because it's pretty cool. It's just a nice binary indicator. So it's over zero, it looks good. If it's under zero, maybe look to short if there's the right setup. So yes, I think there is a chance for continuation, especially on a break like that. But it is at upper Bollinger Band, so just be careful there. Let's see how the weekly's got some room for you, up to 162. So 5 points, still pretty good. NetFry, what's going on, my friend? Scott Huff, how are you? Flixie! Yes, Netflix. So we did look at that not too long ago. Shirley, what's going on? Good to see you. NetFry, big fan of Emmett. Yeah, moving averages are you talking about moving averages, or are you talking about MasterCard? If you're talking about MasterCard, I mean, obviously it's looking bullish. Definitely moving averages are, everything is pointing straight up. So this thing is looking like it's ready to go, and it had didn't have great earnings, must have had good outlook, but if you like moving averages too, they're pretty awesome as well. So, Jocelyn, what's going on? Do you prefer what do you prefer? You're talking to NetFry. Okay, cool. 5, 10, 4, okay, simple moving averages, definitely. Merit Forever. What's going on, my friend? Oh, I just lost you for a second there. Because sometimes this thing jumps around. Sorry, guys. All right, Merritt, CMG and Tilray and Goog. Okay, CMG. CMG had a big move today too. Look at the checking money flow just crossed below zero. So this is actually a great short setup right here. Chipotle apparently had stellar earnings and all that stuff, but this is, if you're going to look for a reversal, this is the time to do it, right? You got a red bar over the upper Bollinger Band. You've got RSI clearing over. You got checking money flow pointing down. Options aren't that inexpensive, so this actually looks like a pretty decent reversal potential. If anything, it might want to test the high of that 15 orb, which was right here at 381. So you might be able to get a 10-point move off of that as a potential short. Tilray. Interesting, isn't it? Right. So checking money flow. So it's almost saying that like money is flowing out of it, right? So it makes sense too because it's banging into some some pretty heavy cloud resistance right here too. So and it's about to come back into the pitchfork as well. So it looks like they got earnings tomorrow, so that should be pretty interesting. Let's see what it does. I like how the Bollinger Bands is really compressed here. So it's going to give you direction one way or another. My guess though is that they have bad earnings because I don't know. Didn't they have bad earnings last time? I don't know if that's really a good reason to say they're going to have bad earnings, but I don't know. I just don't see a lot of these companies. I think there's a bunch of hype. Tilray was the biggest hype when it went to 300, but I don't know. I just don't see how these guys are making money. But some of them will eventually. But anyway, whatever. Anyway, cool chart. It just looks interesting, compressing, and so you've got earnings coming up. So Google. Let's take a look. I always look at Google with the L, if you don't mind. It's just because it's Class A, and it tends to be more traded. But you trade other one. If you're looking at insider trading, you could always look at the Goog because that's where they report insider trading under that one. I mean, look, this is looking pretty strong. Nice move today. We talked about that as being a potential. So it had a good move today. It came back in under some of that regulation type stuff in Europe, and now it's kind of breaking back into that channel. I do want it to be in this channel, and maybe consolidate for a day, and then try to test the highs of that channel. So we'll see what it does. Upper Bollinger Band's at about 1146, so you've got some potential there as well. Nice, Paul. So you like the ADMA? Cool. YouTube account, what's going on? BBBY. A little Bed Bath & Beyond. I saw. Oh yeah, I saw like a FinTwit talking about BBY breaking up. You know, today was just like a funny day. It's like, you know, if you're long, I mean, today was good for any long. I mean, for the most part, everything was doing pretty well except McDonald's, thank goodness. So that was McDonald's is nice and negative, and that's our short that we have on. So that's good. Yorikiri day, nice breakout through this compression zone. Might get a little bit, might get another push. So this is actually looking pretty bullish. So I could see that, you know, if it wants to take this direction, everything could start moving up. Your 200-day moving average is at 1627. So look at that as a possible target. If it could blast through that, then it might get some more consolidation and then another break to the upside. UNH. Nice. I like how it's hanging onto the cloud up there. That's looking bullish. Right, came back in, right? So this is almost, actually this is kind of like a semi-morning star reversal, right? Because we gapped down outside of that real body, and then we pushed into the real body here. Not, I would like to see it over 50% of that to be a true morning star reversal, but not bad, guys. I mean, that's not bad. Sometimes it's what you got to work with, and it's right over the cloud too. So that actually looks pretty good. So this might give you a you know, if you're looking at swinging it with some verticals or something like that, you know, you might be able to get up to like 275 or something like that, you know, in the next couple weeks potentially. So, but I do like that reversal pattern. So checking money flow is positive, right? RSI is curling up. Yep, looks pretty good. TuneFed, what's going on? FCPT. Four corners. Pipity, true, cool. Let's take a look at this. Okay, it looks like we're going into earnings, right? So, earnings after the close tomorrow. Looks pretty interesting. Okay, so it's been kind of coming up this channel between the upper Bollinger Band and the 10 MA, so kind of up and down, up and down. Then you had a big engulfing, you know, bearish bar, Marubozu bar today. So, see if you get any follow through tomorrow. You know, into earnings, and then we'll see. We've got actually here on the RSI, I see that peak versus that peak. That's a bearish divergence right there. So a lot of times that indicates you know, that a potential trend change and a potential move to the downside. So just kind of keep an eye on that right there. Let's I'll go ahead and take a look here at the bar chart for you, and just kind of see what it's been doing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this whole channel, you know, to the upside has been pretty interesting. Why is it doing that? So, I mean, it looks like it could do anything, right? So, I mean, earnings are good, right? Goes to the top of the channel. Earnings are bad, breaks down, and probably tests this volumetric level right here around 27. So, based on the sloppy move today, I would say it's possible, you know, to see more downside, but obviously, you know, a lot of risk going into earnings. So, just be careful with that. Hey man, no problem, man. My pleasure, TuneFed. Thank you. Thanks for participating. Manoj, what's going on, my friend? NetFry. Never doing today if you have some follow support and resistance. Cool. NetFry is a swing trader. Shirley, what's going on? Okay, so we have key. 10 o'clock warning, everybody. So we're running at the final countdown here. Okay, so key's doing good. You know, it's hanging on your volumetric level. A nice gap up, right? Kind of held that pretty well. Just look to see if now it is a little bit of a pivot at the Fibonacci fan, but see if you can get a little more move there. If you can get over 1760, right, you might get up to you know, that 18 level. CFG. Interesting that it's RBS and it's CFG. Anyway, so here let's kind of look at the same thing. So let's see what we got going on here. I did want to put I wanted to put a trend line there instead. This nice little trend line it's working on. I mean, looks bullish. It's got over your last Fibonacci fan line. Maybe one more pullback to that trend line and then bounce all the way up to 40 would be great. Matt. We have had Hasbro gave a double inside day yesterday, y'all. So just keep an eye on that. Matt, of course, between the two toy companies, has been doing a little bit better, just in terms of its movement. So a huge gap up. To me, it looks like a you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a 1, you know, 2, 3. So, you know, very potential for a you know, pullback here. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. It might give another push to the upside. It is holding this volumetric level. If not, this might be your finish of your wave 3. It might pull back for like a wave 4 and then bounce. So if anything though, if it did test this gap, right, it could bang into this Fibonacci fan line and then go back up higher. And let's see, MRVL. Give me 1 second. Let's I think this one's on the so MRVL. Marvel Comics. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's see. So we got, let's say this here, 14 fib fan line there. Okay, yeah, I mean, holding really well. I mean, a little pullback potential, and then another bounce up to like 2050. XOM had a double inside day the other day. I didn't really follow up and see what it did after that. I mean, obviously everything was up pretty solid. So here's your double inside day, right? Kind of, this was another good one, right? Kind of came up over it, came back into the range, nice move, then nice follow through to the downside, right? Now it's in the cloud, broke through it, gapped up. So yeah, this actually kind of looks like a maybe a fry pan bottom. So so see if you can get some continuation up to the upper Bollinger Band. I like how it's pointing up the 76. So good ones tonight, Shirley. Awesome. Scott. Let's see what we got. So you got VA. Okay, yeah, interesting. Really low volume there, Scott. So yeah, I mean, definitely, kind of working its way up. Sandeep, what's going on? Oh, BA, gotcha. Yeah, I was like, BA. Okay, cool. Yeah, they are right next to each other. I was like, all right, buddy. Yeah. So we've been talking about Boeing a little bit here. So, I mean, your RSI is overbought, right? But it can stay overbought, right, as long as it wants to, right? All the 5-minute moving average is already, or the 5-day moving average is already caught up to it. The 10-minute moving average is catching up, and that will bring the overbought status down. It may still give another bit. So I was thinking this is a wave 3, A, B, C, wave 4, so it might come in a little bit, and then a push up to wave 5, wherever that may be. So yeah, potential, but bullish until proven otherwise, right? Manoj, what's going on? Sandeep, please. So ATVI and Twilio. So ATVI has been getting beat up. That was on the 30 orb list today. So let's see how that traded. Wrong type of chart there. Okay. So it was on the 30 orb list today. Oh, wow. So big move afterward, but it's been getting a lot of news with EA with their Apex game coming out. So here you get 40.90, and then you had a whole break there of that 30-minute orb all the way up to 42.28. It's almost a 1.5 point move on that as it broke through the 30-minute cloud. Right after hours, kind of peaked, went to the downside, almost basically tested the prior day's low, and then came up. So let's see. This will be definitely interesting to watch on the 15 orb list for tomorrow. So I'm going to add that to it. So other than that, I have no other comment except for trading the 15 orb tomorrow. So let everything flush itself out to the top or bottom. Let the bears and the bulls define their lines in the sand, and then you can find the setups after that, using those as potential breakout lines or reference lines throughout the day. And then Twilio. These stocks have been super bullish and very interesting to see that it's down after hours. That's pretty. So a loss from the great. What are these cloud companies or whatever? Oh, sorry, guys. One sec. Let me just. Sometimes it gets a little bit choppy, but we'll do this. Hold on. All right. That was fun. Not so much. Yeah, cloud companies. So yeah, these type of cloud companies. The great cloud companies are finally not making a profit or whatever. So anyway, very interesting though, because this give you this. Take a look at Splunk and Veev and those type of companies and see if that starts to become a trend that they can't stay in the clouds too long, right? So definitely a good one to watch the 15 orb on this one tomorrow. So I'm going to add that to the list. Thank you for bringing that up. I've got Groupon on there too. I think GRPN. I think they had a pretty huge miss as well. Yeah, big flush. Yeah, so they had a miss too. So that's on the 15 orb list as well. Well, I'll take it off. It's a penny stock, but unless you guys like trading penny stocks, but Groupon is should be interesting. They're hard to short though. Tune Fed or just use TTM. Yeah, TTM squeeze is good. I know Justin was looking at that. Justin, so you like the BB and kelp, but trying to reduce indication. I know, yeah, on the mobile it's really tough. But yeah, definitely for planning and all that stuff. Nice, yeah. And I know Justin uses the TTM squeeze too, so it's a pretty cool indicator. Maybe we'll do a lesson on that too, or just a session on it, whatever the case is, right? Scott, 1 minute VWAP is what I like intraday along with my price levels. Cool. Andrew, AMRN. RN. Yeah, Amazon's just been getting, going crazy, right? So, here's a pretty good example here where both Bollinger Bands went and didn't quite go in the Keltner channel. This is really messy right here. Sorry, guys. Let's go to the daily. See what's going on. Yeah, just keep it simple. I mean, right now, you have compression on the daily. You don't have earnings on this thing until the end of the month. So what I do like is how I love seeing that bar poking its head out of the cloud. So I tried to do it here and came back in. Right, it has been consolidating for quite some time, but right now you can see checking money flow is positive. Right, RSI is pointing up, and we're getting outside the cloud. So as long as that Bollinger Band keeps pointing up, you could get some upward movement. This might be one that's good for an earnings run. I mean, it's it's showing some bullish activity lately. Let's see, Overstock. Oh, and Overstock tonight, guys. That was also a chart request too from from online earlier. So I'm glad you brought that up too, because it was on the list, but just on the list. So I just haven't got to it. So here we go. So Overstock. So let me catch the what minute we're in real quick. Yeah, so about 10:09. So about 40 minutes to do it. Okay. And let's look at AMBA. Let me just do one more on Overstock here real quick. Let's look at the. Okay, so this is pretty cool. So Overstock here, you can see I did a Fibonacci on this not too long ago, and let's see. So really, this is kind of a key level. I believe this is a kind of a gap type level here. So just look to see if it does get up to that like 23 level. And it's so funny. It looks like Tilray. It looks like Bitcoin. So just pretty interesting stuff right there on the kind of on the monthly chart. But yeah, so just kind of keep an eye on this. Look for a potential breakout if it can. And this level is pretty key here. This 22.15. So okay, and then so that was that, and then AMBA. Sorry, let's go back to AMBA. Okay, so AMBA is kind of getting ready for some earnings coming up next month. So at this point, general huge down move that had. Let's see if anything. That actually looks pretty interesting there from that peak to that trough, right? So it's kind of holding this Fibonacci fan line right here, So, but it is kind of breaking over it a little bit. It does have some volumetric resistance at 56.67. Let's look at the candlesticks on it real quick. Dun dun dun. Daily. Yeah, definite. Interesting. Yorikiri bar right at the 200-day moving average, right? So this is a bullish bar, right? So just see what kind of movement you get. I feel like you'd maybe get like a couple days of consolidation like these, and then get another push to the upside. But I like how that upper Bollinger Band is pointing up, the mid Bollinger Band is pointing up, right? Your 50 moving average is pointing up, and you're right at the 200-day moving average. So as long as it doesn't reject the 200-day, right, which it did right here and went down pretty large. It rejected it here too, went down again. So if it's finally going to hold it and give you a nice bar, it give you a spinning top here, but it gave you a Yorikiri here. So if that gives you strength, the break to the upside, 10 or 15 cents above it might give you a push back up, and then it's finally back above the 200 moving average. Manoj, what's going on? On your chart you have 50 MA, and on the MACD you have exponential MA. Is it good, or should we be consistent both simple or exponential? It's up to you, Manoj. It's how you trade. Right. So, and what you feel more comfortable with. There's no albeit, or all-encompassing, indicator. And so it's really how you trade, right? So MACD is going to, or exponential is going to be more sensitive to price. So if that's how you trade and you like to you want to react to those quick moves a little bit more, then switch to exponential. But if you just want something that you can kind of mesh with the price to use as a good, essentially, moving kind of trend line, then go with simple, right? Until you can get it to do its thing. What's up, Paul? And to invest, what's going on? All my good buddies here. Chris Kemp, what's going on, my friend? Can you spend double inside day? Yep, so double inside day. So let's go back to Twilio real quick. So Twilio, and you can also check the link on my pinned tweet on Twitter. You got to dig through it to find it. I need to reorganize that whole thing again. But I'm sorry, take two. Take two on the double inside day. Okay, so what happens is a double inside day, right? The way it's defined here is that you have a bar, right? And then the next bar including the wicks, including the shadows, everything is engulfed by the mother bar, right? So this is inside this bar, okay? What it means is that instead of just breaking to the top and forming a hammer and breaking and coming back in, right? This is saying, hey, I don't know what direction I'm going, right? Something's going on, right? And then the next day, this bar is engulfed by this bar. So this one is contained by this one and this one. If you guys look at the pinned tweet, I've got like the Russian doll, type thing. So everything is contained by each other. So that's your double inside day. And what happens there is that although inside days are great for breaks to the upside or downside, double inside days are as well, right? But what I've noticed is that if you gap above it or you gap below it, you have a much higher propensity to reclaim the entire range of that bar. And I've seen it more often than not, right? So it becomes a really good strategy. And usually, as long as the gap isn't too big down or too big up, you don't have a lot of risk to get through that range. So here, so the high of this bar here, you can look at the top there, is 97.24. We gapped up. We opened at 97.63. Okay, and the high was 97.83. So really, the total risk was 60 cents, right? So 60, or was it 59 cents, right? So 97.24 to 97.83, and so from there it starts coming back in, and you're like, okay, yeah, I know the strategy. It's a double inside day. It's coming back in. You put your stop at the high of the day, or like, you can do 15 cents above it. If you're using options, just to get yourself out if it takes it out, and then you buy puts or you short. And then your first target is 50% of the range. Second target is the breakout of that, and your third target, is basically as far as it could go. And so that's what it did here. It gapped up. You put your stop up there, come in, reclaim this whole range, and it gave you a little more juice on it too, to the bottom. So this whole range here was 286, and then it gave you another like $1.50 or something like that below it. And then if you had freebies after that, right, with options, you could just held another put through it and just see how much more downside you got. And today it was just a blessing in that case, because they downgraded it, whatever the case was, and gave a nice move to the downside right there, right? So if you go back and look for double inside days, you'll see if you go through my my Twitter, you can just kind of search through there, and if I see double inside day, I tweet it. So Walmart had one too. This is probably more of like a gap and go type situation. Yeah. So this one never did it, right? So it just double inside day here, it gapped up, and to me, I would have just left it alone. If it doesn't come back in the range, just leave it alone, right? And it just gave a push to the upside. So it's interesting to watch, because these are going to be points of energy, right, on the chart. So I mean, really, obviously, there's some compression here. So just kind of use that as like potential future, kind of resistant zone. But if it comes back in that range later, it might, it's going to give you some resistance. Might break to the downside too. But that's a little more complicated. But just the double inside day is kind of an intraday strategy that you can use and be safe. But I always look for only stocks that trade well. If you can do it on other like smaller kind of rinky-dinky stocks, but if they don't have options or really liquid options or something like that, there's no point in even trading it. So hope that helps. Rockdine, I hope you don't mind. We already looked at Tilray. Justin, TTM squeeze to replace what? I think he's probably talking about like one of the indicators. Tunefit Bally's Keltner, created by John Carter. TTM squeeze is good. NP video idea for yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. So hey Karan, how are you? Karen, can we? Oh yeah, let's look up crude oil. Let's look at some futures. I always like how the futures are up and the VIX, so that's always interesting, right? This first oversold area was below the lower Bollinger Band, right? Consolidated, kind of came up a little bit, and then it did it again, right? And so it actually was oversold deeper too, and then it came back up, right? So there's your weekly, kind of broke down oversold area, and then it finally kind of moved back up. But now it's kind of moving into a little bit longer range, kind of resistance type area. So and your mid Bollinger Band is kind of pointing down, so it doesn't look like it's going to have like the super bullish move that probably everyone might be thinking it will. But it's also in some pretty heavy resistance area in the daily. Doesn't mean it can't test this like 55 level, but just use caution with this one. That's pretty much all I can think of, right? Because it's hard to say, if we go and look at it, how deep this move down really was. Sorry, it's a little bit funky here. I'm trying to get a good chart so I can draw an Elliott wave on this thing. It's tough because they don't have these things like essentially trade continuously. But here, what I'll do is I'll just do a Fibonacci fan line from this peak to this trough, and then see what it looks like there. So yeah, like you see, it could get up to like this 55 level, but that's going to be some resistance right there. So you just kind of have to look. I don't know, sort of long term. Let's just do a pitchfork right there, kind of in that area. There's, that something like that will give you a good kind of indication. You're halfway through the range. It just seems like it would go down before, and then maybe possibly test back up. So it could be pretty interesting. Doesn't look super duper bullish though, right? But lots of counter indications on it. But good one. That was a fun one. Philip, what's going on? No, Facebook we didn't look at yet. So Facebook, still pretty interesting with the gap up that it had. Hasn't really had a lot of follow through, but hasn't really pulled back either. So, it got slammed today with more. It got really had like kind of a flash crash today. With more legislative stuff for their stealing all our data and all that. But it looks like it kind of came back down, but it's still holding on to this pitchfork level. So as long as it holds this 164, there's some potential with it, right? But it's got a lot of resistance above it, so it's kind of tough to tell. I do think this was a wave 3 up, wave 4 down, and I'm looking for maybe an impulsive wave up before getting a correction back. But it's got to get through this Fibonacci fan line right here before it does anything. So it's got to get above 170 to give any sort of move. I think if it gets over 170, it could get up to 175. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Jimmy, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Merritt. Hey man, my pleasure. Thanks for jumping in. AMD, real quick. So much for a 30-minute video, right, guys? But anyway, so yeah, AMD. I guess it was negative today. Amazing. Everybody was all bullish on it yesterday on Twitter, and today you can just kind of see. It pivoted right here at the median line. That's kind of a standard move, and you had your stochastic pointing down. So to me, still looks bearish. I mean, right here I've got I thought I deleted this the other day. Remove text node. Remove. Okay, weird. So 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4. I'm still looking for an impulsive wave down, honestly, until proven otherwise. This this pivot right here indicates to me, potential lower move. If anything, just testing the $20.50 level just at the bottom of the pitchfork. But it could get lower, right? It could get down to 14 again. So. It's got a way to fall, right? And it hasn't been super strong after earnings. So, if you have time, can you do crude oil on the daily charts? Yes. Did I? Oh yeah. Let me look at CL real quick for you on the. I'll do it on the daily candlestick for you, so you can take a look. What happened? There it is. Yeah. So here, like we looked at earlier, it's you're in the cloud, right? So it's kind of this like, look at this as kind of quicksand type stuff, right? So, but it did give you an inside day. It's right at the mid Bollinger Band. So if it breaks to the upside, cool. If it goes to the downside, interesting. Obviously it's trading right now anyway, but to see how that closes. Like I said, if it gets to the upside, that 55 level is going to be pretty key at the at the Fibonacci fan line and the inner cloud top. But it's got lots of support below. You got your 50 moving average. It's above. Right. You had this nice hammer bar right there too. So it's just at this really tough spot right now. It's almost like a triangle that it's working on. Let's see. Kind of type thing. So it's just really kind of consolidating right here. It does look like it's going to move one way or another, right? It's in the middle of the cloud, so it could test the top, could test the bottom. Just this one you have to trade the price action on it. But if you do look at the CHAIKIN money flow, it is pointing straight up. So if you look at volume and all that stuff, it looks like there's money flowing into it. So if anything, you might want to use that and lean your bias to the upside, and maybe this RSI could get overbought for you. My pleasure. Thanks, TuneFed. Welcome too. Yeah, I really appreciate you jumping in. And PayPal we didn't look at. Let's just look at it here. Super bullish. Yeah, I mean it had good earnings, and let's see, big move up today. It is at the upper Bollinger Band, but you're not overbought on it, so, and it is curling up. If we go to the let's go just look at the 15 real quick down here. Right, so you had a nice pivot here at the median line as well. So I do think it could get up to like 99. Let's take a look. What happened here? Yeah, a little bit of break there. Just trying to see if there's any cool breakouts. Here, if you look, this is just what we reviewed yesterday, right? So the Bollinger Bands came inside the Keltner channel and they broke to the upside. And so, you know, if you held it for a while, it would have been pretty smooth, like going all the way up from 91 up to 93. Right, and then today up to 94. So anyway, but yeah, it looks bullish to me. Darren, thank you so much. Always appreciate your support. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. It's late. I went 30 minutes over than what I was expecting to do, but I do love looking at all the different charts and your guys' ideas because you give me ideas for the next day, too. So hope everybody has a great night. Again, I'll tweet out a game plan and the BH50K update and all that stuff. So I hope you guys have a great night and an awesome trading tomorrow and get a good night's sleep. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.